Hey everybody, and welcome to a long overdue episode of Superheroes Movies and Superhero Movies. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm John Pelzo.
And today we're talking about Justice League, released in 2017, directed by Zack Snyder, written by Chris Terrio and Joss Whedon from a story by Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder, and starring Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot. I never get it right, I think.
I say Gal Gadot.
Yeah. I did too, and then I think I saw her on Saturday Night Live or something, and she pronounced it Gadot. I don't know.
She doesn't know how to say her name.
She doesn't know how to say her own name. Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, Kieran Hines is the voice of Steppenwolf. I'm looking at the cast list here. J.K. Simmons, Commissioner Gordon, did I say Jeremy Irons? Diane Lane. Whole cast of characters in this movie.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah. J.K. Simmons. J. Jonah Jameson?
J. Jonah Jameson.
I thought that while I was watching it. I was like, I kind of had a brain fart while I was rewatching it today, and I saw him, and I was like, man, he's a good choice for Commissioner Gordon. And I was like, wait, isn't he also Jake? Like, it just like, for whatever reason, I completely forgot that he played J. Jonah Jameson until, like, I had to kind of
That's strange.
convince myself. I was like, he plays J. Jonah Jameson, right?
Yeah, totally
weird.
different. He's not J.K. Simmons.
He's not J.K. Simmons?
I mean, like, J.K. Simmons has, he's kind of like a character actor. Like,
right.
That's what when I say that, I think of someone that is given a role because of really who they frequently portray themselves to be.
Right.
And he was not J.K. Simmons
right.
in this movie.
Well, I mean, something we could talk about as we get into it, but I thought he was super underutilized. He had two scenes kind of,
and he was kind of boring.
Like, yeah, it wasn't.
He was flat.
Yeah. So I'm, that being, said, part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this movie, number one, it's been so long since we've had an episode, I wanted to come back with a superhero movie. But also, there's the whole release the Snyder Cut thing, and they've now announced that in 2021 they're going to release the Zack Snyder director's cut, official, true vision, whatever he had, his original version of the movie.
Right.
It's going to be released on HBO Max in 2021.
And I mean, how accurate is that though? Because like he didn't get to, he didn't film the whole movie, did he?
He did, yeah. Well,
I didn't know that.
I mean, I think there was. Obviously, I don't think we're ever going to know like the full 100% truth, but before they announced that they were going to release this version of the movie, people were questioning whether or not there was an actual Snyder cut. They kind of had the same idea that you did, I think, that like he didn't actually finish the movie. There is no Snyder cut. And he would post pictures on have you ever heard of Vero? It's a social media app, kind of like Instagram and whatnot.
No, I'm an old man.
He posts on Vero a lot. And he posted a picture of film canisters that says JL Director's Cut, and the words on the picture said, here, I have it right here, actually. Hold on, because I wanted to mention it about. Oh, it just went away. But anyway, it said, "Is it real or does it exist?" or something like that, and he said, "Of course it does." And then the running time on the film canisters says 214, which I assume is 214 minutes, which would be a 3-hour and 34-minute movie.
Wow.
So. I believe that there was a Zack Snyder director's cut of the film, and either the studio didn't like it or they were worried because of the poor reviews of Batman vs. Superman, or for whatever reason, they decided to do these reshoots, and I don't think he was able to do it. So the cut was finished, but I don't think he was able to do like CGI completely and all that stuff. So there was an edit, but it wasn't necessarily like a finished movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so they brought in Joss Whedon to help with reshoots, and he's got a writing credit on the movie.
Right.
and and uh, and then Zack Snyder's daughter committed suicide, which was tragic, and he stepped down from the movie, and Joss Whedon took over. And I've read, it's kind of weird because I've also heard that like maybe Zack Snyder was going to get fired from the movie anyway.
Right, I heard that too.
And they kind of let him step down. And I don't know. It seems weird to, with his daughter's suicide as part of it, to kind of, I don't know. I would hope that he wasn't going to get fired, but you never know. So anyway, the point of that is there's going to be a completely different version of Justice League coming out next year. And so I wanted to talk about this version first, and then we can maybe do an episode next year about the
Absolutely.
cut. So was this your first time watching the movie, or had you seen it before?
I saw it after it was out of theater.
Gotcha.
Shortly after.
But yeah, so probably because this was released in November of 2017, so it was probably early 2018 or something you maybe saw.
Yeah.
Well, having seen it a second time now, what did you think?
So I hated it when I first saw it.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know if I hated it when I first saw it, but I know that over time, I was not a fan. And rewatching it this time, I was pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Wow.
I felt like at the beginning, I kind of understood where I had originally stood with the idea that I didn't like it because I've always been able to there's just this difference between Marvel and DC movies. And I think I pinpointed what it is for me is I think DC movies just the acting and the directing, nothing against Zack Snyder because, I love 300, Watchmen, and I love Man of Steel, but Batman v Superman and Justice League, I felt like just had this feel of the directing and the acting was just almost feels staged and forced. I can't take it seriously,
right?
Like a Marvel movie. And I noticed that at the first portion of watching this, but as the movie went on, I don't know if I just kind of got used to it and started accepting it, or if it changed.
Right.
But it wasn't there as much.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I think I had kind of the opposite. The opposite happened to me, I should say, where I think I was super pumped about this movie before it came out. I was more excited about this movie than I was Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I could not wait to see these characters, coming together, and I think I knew deep down that it was not going to ever be as good as Avengers, just because they were introducing us to Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg all in this movie rather than giving them their own separate movies and bringing them together like they did with Iron Man and Thor and Captain America and all that.
And it's real quick.
Yeah.
I watched this movie with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My dad and I had my kids up at their house, and my dad took the kids to the pool, and my mom wanted to watch Justice League, so I was like, okay. And I explained that to her. She's never seen any of the Marvel movies, to my knowledge. I think she saw the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, but that doesn't count in the Marvel universe.
Right.
But I explained to her after the movie was done, and she really liked the movie, like a lot. And I said, you need to see Marvel movies too, and those are different because for the Avengers, all of the characters that are in that movie had already explored their origins, and they didn't have to spend time.
Right.
But 3 of the major characters in this movie are just kind of tossed in there and have to go over their origin, and it's very quick. Like that was one of the problems that this movie had, was how just scrunched and together it is and quick.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, again, if Zack Snyder's real version of this movie is 3.5 hours long, number one, that's super long. That's as long as The Irishman, which was that Martin Scorsese movie on Netflix that came out last year. If it is that long, then hopefully they'll get more of a, it'll work a little better. It won't be quite as quick, which, I mean, it won't be. It's 3.5 hours long. But anyway, yes, this movie was the shortest out of all 3. I consider this kind of a trilogy: Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Justice League. It's like almost the Superman trilogy of this new Superman. And so,
except Superman's
barely
really
in
not
this
it.
movie. Yeah, exactly.
I thought he was in it a lot more than I remembered.
Right.
Well, wait. Yes. No. I remembered him being in it a lot more than he was.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. So out of the 3, it's the shortest one. Man of Steel, I think, is 2 hours 20 or something like that. Batman vs Superman is 2.5 hours, 3 hours if you count the director's cut, and then, or the Ultimate Edition, and then this movie's 2 hours, which I thought was weird when the runtime was announced before the movie came out. I remember being like, it's only 120 minutes.
Yeah.
So and out of the 3, spoiler alert on my grade here. It's my least favorite. I know that you're not a huge fan of Batman vs Superman, and I know there's a lot of people who aren't. But
did we do a podcast on Batman? We did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been so long.
Would not say I'm not a fan of Batman v Superman. Yeah. I definitely like it more than the average person.
Right.
But I know I don't like it as much as you do.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And since we're recording video, you can see here I've got my Batman vs Superman poster here. I don't know if the cord will go long enough, and my Batman Superman figures up there. Nice. Anyway,
and you painted those.
I kind of like touched them up.
Right.
I forgot what I was saying.
You were talking about how Justice League was your least favorite out of the Superman trilogy.
Right, and I was saying I had the opposite reaction you did. So, seeing it in the theater, I was just super excited about seeing it. I really couldn't wait to see, live. I mean, we had kind of gotten a live action Flash with the TV show, but I wanted to see big screen live action Flash and Aquaman and Cyborg and all that. So I was super excited about it, super pumped. And I walked out of the movie feeling like it was okay. I was excited about it because I did get to see those characters, but I was disappointed because there was a lot of footage that I had seen in trailers and from like Comic-Con footage that just wasn't in the movie, or it was a different version of it. It was a different take or a different line or something. And so, and the Superman CGI mustache thing, I couldn't, every time he was on screen, it just looked weird to me. And
I forgot they did that.
Yeah. And so I walked out.
Now that you mention that, he does look different.
Yeah.
He does not look like Henry Cavill from the first 2.
No. And there's, I think 99% of his performance in the movie they had to CGI that his upper lip. I think there's maybe a couple of moments where I could, watching it, I can go, okay, that's probably from the original version of the movie or something. And then everything else. I mean, the very first, I knew it was bad. I knew it was going to be bad from the very first moment of the movie. The movie starts with that cell phone footage.
That's
of the
when
kids.
I noticed like that. Exactly. That's when I was like, whoa,
and you're
something's off here.
You're like, no, this does not look good.
Yeah.
And I remember, there was all those, so obviously before a movie comes out, there's always like rumor and speculation, and then you go see the movie and you find out whether or not the rumors are true and stuff like that. And so there was all this talk about having to CGI the mustache, and it sounded so it sounded like one of those things that had to be fake. You know what I mean? Like it couldn't be true. Like there's no way. And then the very first scene of the movie, you're like, I can't believe this is true. I can't believe they actually had to CGI his face. And it just looks awful. So that's one big detractor for the movie for me. But anyway, now having seen, I went and saw it in the theater a couple times just because, like I said, I was excited about Justice League. And I remember I saw it a second time with my dad. So I walked out of the movie being like, it was good, but I didn't like love it like I did Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel. And my dad asked me about it, and I gave him that thing. I said it was good, I liked it, and he was like, "Oh, guess it wasn't that good because I usually am normally like it was amazing,
right?"
So I went and saw it with him and my mom, and I think my sister came too. And when it ended, my dad was like, "That was good." He was a big fan of it. He really liked it.
That's how my mom was.
Yeah. So
because I told her like throughout, like when very early on, I was like, this movie's. I wasn't a big fan of it. And then like she made a comment like not too long after that. She's like, I don't know how, you're saying this isn't good. It's pretty good. And then by the end of the movie, she was like, this is a really good movie.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's fine. I don't hate it or anything, but the more I watch it, the more the reshoots stand out to me, because there are some scenes that were completely reshot for the movie, to change the storyline of the movie and whatnot. But then there's also stuff that they put into existing scenes. And one of the examples I'll give you is, and if you're looking for it, you can see it. But one of the examples is that whole scene where, or the line really, where Barry Allen is talking about brunch. He's like brunch, what is that? You stand in line for an hour? That is a reshoot. Like that scene with him and Bruce Wayne existed, but then they obviously felt like it needed more humor. Mm-hmm. So they reshot that stuff with him, and he goes, people are just slow. And Ben Affleck says, I'll try to keep up. Like if you watch the movie again and kind of pay close attention, you can tell when they're standing in front of a green screen and they've had to replace the background to fit them into that scene again. There's a few times where it happens like that. There's a scene with Aquaman in the beginning when he's talking to Bruce Wayne where he's like in the water, and all of a sudden you can just tell the background just looks super fake. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what? He's in the water. Why did they green screen that? And it's because it was a Joss Whedon reshoot.
And obviously that won't be an issue with the director's cut.
Right. Yeah, it shouldn't be. I can't imagine. So I am, for better or worse, I can't say that it will be a better movie. It very well could be a disaster. But for better or worse, I'm very excited about the fact that we are going to get to see the original cut of Justice League. Because here's another issue I have with the movie. Batman vs. Superman kind of set some stuff up, and then this movie just completely ignored it. And like one of those scenes that I'm thinking of is when the Flash travels back in time and talks to Bruce Wayne in Batman vs. Superman, and he gives him this kind of cryptic message that is completely ignored in this movie.
Yeah, because what was the message? It had something to do with Lois Lane, didn't it?
Yeah, he comes back. It's been a while since I've watched Batman vs. Superman, but he comes back and he says, Lois Lane is the key or something like that. And then he realizes he goes, am I too soon? I'm too soon. And then he says something, you were right about him, fear him. And we assume he's talking about Superman, but I was hoping we would find out the answer to that when we
So my guess is technically they could still go down that path with how when they wake him up and
right. And he's not nice. I don't want to go so far to say he's evil Superman, but he's just, he's just not nice Superman.
They said he's confused. He doesn't know who he is. So apparently if Superman doesn't remember he's Superman, he wants to kill people.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I will say this is another reshoot line, but there's a line in that scene that does make me laugh when the Flash goes, Pet Cemetery. He's like, and that is a scene, I think that's one of the scenes with Henry Cavill where he does not have a CGI mustache for most of it, when he's fighting the team. It's when once Batman shows up, that's when you can see he's got the CGI'd face again. But yeah,
Okay.
so that's one of the only Henry Cavill scenes where he is like original from the original cut. But as far as I can tell.
Right. But Lois Lane shows up and he kind of snaps out of it. So how and why is Lois Lane there?
Well, Bruce Wayne does say in the movie, when they're talking about waking him up, that he has a contingency plan. And the contingency plan is to have Lois Lane kind of on standby. And he calls, he talks to Alfred about the big guns. We need to bring out the big guns. She's the big gun,
I had to kind of walk away a couple times and had some distractions. So that must have been one of the things.
Might have missed a couple parts, yeah.
But you could say that, especially since Bruce was the one that got the message from the Flash, that he was like,
he just remembered
to see Lois Lane.
Yeah, even though it never happened. Maybe it was it happened in Batman vs Superman, but then they never send Flash back in time in Justice League.
Oh yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of like it's time travel is weird if you think about it in terms of Back to the Future, like Back to the Future logic,
which is how I do.
Right. It's more fun movie wise to think of it in that logic, but if you think about it in Avengers Endgame logic, then it just gets super confusing.
Which Bruce Banner said, Back to the Future is not correct.
Right. Exactly.
So I guess Bruce Banner's right.
I guess I don't know.
I don't agree with
somewhat
him.
of a genius, I guess.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's back up and talk about the beginning of the movie. So you get that terrible CGI Superman, but then you go into the Batman on the rooftop fighting the robber of some sort. Even though he's not really fighting the robber, he's trying to lure out a parademon.
Right.
I actually really like that scene, and that's another Joss Whedon scene. But I thought it was actually pretty good. Although the more I watch it, the more you can really tell it's just two guys on a soundstage. It just doesn't look. Remember when we did an episode on Batman Returns, how you can just kind of tell Gotham City is on a soundstage?
Yes.
Versus the first movie where it felt like real streets and it didn't feel like a soundstage. That's how I feel about this scene with Batman and the robber. I don't know what he was. The criminal. Batman and the criminal. It just feels like it's on a soundstage with green screen background, which I'm sure it was. But that being said, I still thought it was a pretty cool scene. I think it's cool seeing the reflection of Batman on the gargoyle hanging, watching him when he first comes out on the roof and everything. That was pretty cool. I remember thinking in the theater, this feels like Zack Snyder, which is a good, compliment, I suppose, to Joss Whedon, that he was able to kind of copy Zack Snyder's style a little bit. Because I realized later that it's a Joss Whedon scene. And part of the reason I know that is because I read about how Joss Whedon originally had more humor in that scene, and then the studio had him cut it out. And then also, the very next time we see Batman, or Bruce Wayne rather, he's got a beard.
Right.
So he talks to Alfred. He's like, "We're going north tonight." And he's like, gas up the plane or whatever he says. We're going north tonight. And then the next time you see him, he's got a full beard. And I was like, man, how long did it take you to go there?
That's funny because I noticed the beard too, but it was because I was telling my mom that Batman was Ben Affleck. And I was like, he's a great Batman. I was like, he's probably my favorite Batman. She asked me who was my favorite, and I was like, he's especially Bruce Wayne. I think he's my favorite. He does.
Yeah, he does a good job.
And so she kind of needed some clarification as to what I was talking about. She was like, wait, what do you mean Bruce Wayne? And I was like, Bruce Wayne's Batman. She was like, oh, you mean when he's not dressed up like Batman? I was like, yes, exactly.
That's funny. Your mom's like, wait, whoa. Bruce Wayne is Batman?
So I was, that was the next scene, like you said, where it was like Ben Affleck, and I was like, wait a minute,
Why does he have a beard?
His beard, like he was just Batman without it.
Yeah. I have a feeling in the original version of the movie where there was not that Batman scene, that was probably the first time we saw Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Is him
so you don't see him as Batman.
Right. You just see him in the
Bruce Wayne first.
Wherever he is.
Yeah.
Hunting down Aquaman.
Or Batman in his suit with a beard.
A beard. Well, maybe. Could be.
I'd really throw people off, right?
Yeah, they'd be like,
wait a minute. Didn't Batman not have a beard a month ago, and you didn't have a beard a month ago, and now Batman has a beard, and you're a big Batman fan, Bruce. You're copying him.
The other thing about Batman in this movie, this is nitpicky. It's not something that really detracts from the movie necessarily, but I thought the Batman vs Superman cowl was perfect. I loved it, and in this one they redesigned it, and I just don't like it as much.
I agree. I noticed that. I just didn't have the same vibe.
Yeah.
With the bat suit. Yeah, the Batman. I don't want to talk about Batman. Wait, you said we did do Batman v Superman.
We did talk about Batman.
Okay.
Superman, yeah.
So yeah, that is probably my favorite Batman
Costume?
suit there's ever been in cinema.
It's really good, and that cowl I thought just was amazing. And whoever designed it allowed him to be able to move his head. And in this one, you'll notice it's not as noticeable as it is like in the old Keaton or Val Kilmer or Clooney Batman movies, but he can't move his head like he can in Batman vs Superman, so he has to kind of do the whole body move thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is like the ears are a little bit different, and when you're looking at him straight on, to me, it looks like a cat when a cat like has its ears down, you know. To me it looks like Catman rather than Batman, but again, that's just nitpicky, kind of stupid details. Also, I think
that's not nitpicky. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Like Batman's suit, it's up there.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. The other thing that bugs me about this movie is I think this is speculation, but I think Ben Affleck was in better shape. Not that he's not in good shape, but he was in better shape when they were shooting the movie originally. And then when he had to come back and do these reshoots, he had gained just a little bit of weight, and the mask doesn't fit him as well.
I noticed that too. Like when it goes back and he's shaving.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I don't know. Was that a Whedon?
I don't know, actually. That scene, I'm not sure.
But I noticed that he did look like, he had a little more weight on him.
Yeah. So it could have been.
He looked older. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if that's what they were going for, because he is supposed to be, a seasoned
kind of an older Batman,
which is cool. But it just seems so much different than the Bruce Wayne from Batman v Superman.
Right. I agree. They put some gray in his hair, Batman vs Superman, and I think they kind of did that in this one. But he does seem older in this movie. I agree, and he does seem just fuller in the face a little bit in certain scenes, and I think those are the Joss Whedon scenes. And especially sometimes when he's wearing the mask, sometimes it looks great, and I think those are the original scenes. And then other times it looks like it's almost swallowing his face, like it's like his chin. Like normally the cowl, I think, kind of goes under his chin, and it seemed like it was kind of coming up on his chin. And I think it just didn't fit his face as well anymore, and it just doesn't look good.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I don't know. I just love it.
Where's your favorite scene?
Well, my favorite scene is probably when they're fighting Superman, and the Flash starts running, and Superman, his eyes move, and just the look on Ezra Miller's face is perfect when he's just like,
no, that is you nailed it. That is my favorite moment in the movie. And I remember the first time I saw that, and like seeing the Flash come and time slowing down, and Superman was like holding the three of them.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, is he going to? And then his eye darts over, and I was like, Perfection.
Yeah.
I was like, he's not as fast as the Flash,
Right.
but he can see the Flash, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
And his head slowly turned. Oh man, yeah, that gave me chills the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I love that scene. That's a great scene. It's probably my favorite scene in the movie for sure. And then I don't know. After that, I'm not really sure what my next favorite scene would be. Probably something simple, just like Commissioner Gordon and the first time he sees like Wonder Woman and the Flash, and stuff like that. Just getting the team together, kind of almost for the first time, even though Aquaman's not there. Something like that probably is my next favorite scene.
I was not an Aquaman fan the first time I watched it, and I have not seen Aquaman, the solo movie. That's probably one of the reasons. I liked him better in this version, and I remember like some of the stunts and stuff they did the first time I watched it, where he's like skyboarding on the
parademon,
the parademon, and goes through and like comes out. I remember thinking that's just too much and cheesy, but watching it this time, I don't know, maybe it's just a mood thing, but I thought it was pretty cool, and I liked it.
I like his portrayal of Aquaman. I don't think Jason Momoa is necessarily the strongest actor, but I think he plays this version of Aquaman pretty well.
Yeah.
And I have seen Aquaman, but we'll save that discussion for the Aquaman podcast whenever we do that.
That's actually my second favorite scene in the movie, is when he's sitting on the lasso of truth.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good too. Yeah, I like that.
And I actually had to rewind that for my mom because she was distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And I explained to her that he was sitting on the lasso of truth, like after he finished everything. And because she didn't know what the lasso of truth was. So I actually made a point to explain that to her early on, because I remembered that scene and I wanted it to be funny, and like it just went over her head.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, he's sitting on the lasso of truth. And she was like, what did he say? And I was like, Mom. She wanted me to rewind it. I was like, it's not even going to be funny now. But I rewound it, and it was actually maybe even more funny knowing that he was sitting on it. My favorite line is when he looks at Wonder Woman. He's like, oof, you're gorgeous.
It's pretty good. What do you think of Ezra Miller as the Flash, as Barry Allen?
So I was okay with him the first time I watched it, and this time I think it's not necessarily the traditional Flash,
right?
That I like, but I like. He seems like I haven't seen him in anything else, but he seems like he could be a pretty talented actor at other things too.
He is. I've seen him in a few things, and he's very good. And I think that some of the humor doesn't necessarily hit the mark every time,
right?
But he does a really good job with it, I think. And you're right; it's not the typical Barry Allen. Like usually, Barry Allen is, he's supposed to be like this super smart scientist type guy. And not saying that Ezra Miller's not a super smart, or like his version of Barry Allen's not super smart. We just don't see it in this movie.
Well, you can see that they try to, like when he's meeting Batman, like I don't remember what word he used, but they're like trying to use like long words for him to use and stuff. But then like there's scenes where he's running and he's like, he sounds just kind of like a dopey high school kid, where he's like, God, I hope this is easy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that line actually does make me laugh.
It was funny, but I was like, it just made him seem dopey.
Yeah,
instead of intelligent.
Exactly. And at the end, did you watch the 2 post-credits?
Oh no, I forgot because I was trying to get back here.
Yeah, I understand. Well, the first post-credit scene is the race. If you remember, since you've seen it before, you might remember. It's the Flash.
I thought I remembered that, but then I was like, wait a minute, that was Civil War, because didn't they do a race in Civil War also? Maybe not.
I don't know who would have raced in Civil War.
I mean, it wasn't like obviously the Flash versus Superman.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking it was maybe Captain America and Iron Man, but yeah, you're okay. Okay, so I have seen that.
Yeah,
but I didn't see it this time.
Well, it's the same thing. Anyway, the point is, it's the same thing. He's like, I think Superman asks him, which direction do you want to head? And he goes, well, I've never seen the Pacific Ocean. He points this way, and Superman's like, it's this way. And he's like, which is that way, right? Got it. So he does come across as a little bit dopey, like you said, kind of goofy, kind of dumb, but probably, he's probably still very smart. Obviously, they made it seem like he created his own suit,
I mean,
so
and you saw his room,
right, and he had all
500 monitors in there.
And the more monitors you have, the smarter you are.
Exactly. That's where I was going with that.
Yep.
I have one monitor.
I have two. But they're old. They're both very old. Just like my web camera, which keeps going in and out of focus. But Ray Fisher as Cyborg. What'd you think about Cyborg?
I liked him. My favorite scene, or my favorite moment of him, was when he came down with the mother box, and he's like, it was a very heroic moment, where you're like, oh, did Steppenwolf get the box? And he comes down, he's like, he doesn't have it. Right. That was a really cool shot and just moment. I didn't feel like they utilized him as much as he could have been. I
agree. They made him kind of the person at the end who has to separate the mother boxes, but aside from that,
that was a good moment too, was like when he and Superman are talking and Superman's like, I like living, and like the you could see the emotion in him when he's like, I do too. Like, he's a cool character.
He is a cool character. I'm glad they included him in the movie because in previous, like, I guess the classic Justice League lineup would have been Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, and Green Lantern, probably. Yeah. Right. So,
who is my favorite superhero?
Right. And at least we got a glimpse of a Green Lantern in this movie.
I know. And I forgot about that. So I was like, oh, there.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously I knew it wasn't Hal Jordan, but
I forget.
And they intended for a sequel to this.
Right.
He, especially with the round table where you can add more, and Green Lantern obviously would have been the next hero to come into the picture.
Yeah. Well, Green Lantern might be in the director's cut.
I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, I don't.
But who's playing him?
I don't. It's the rumor is it's this unknown actor, so I don't know if that's you got to take it with a grain of salt. It may not be true.
They were right about Henry Cavill's mustache.
They were right about Henry Cavill's mustache. That's true. And Zack Snyder has pointed out, he's confirmed that Harry Lennox, the guy that played General Stanwyck, I think his name was, in Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel, if you remember him.
I know who you're talking about. I don't remember him, but...
Well, anyway, Zack Snyder confirmed that he was going to be Martian Manhunter. So, like, he was Martian Manhunter in disguise the whole time, basically. So supposedly that'll be in the director's cut. I don't know. We'll see if that's true or not. But
that sounds almost like a cop-out to me.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be done well and we'll both like it. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm just saying, they're like, we like this actor. Wouldn't it have been cool if he could have been Martian Manhunter? Wait a minute.
Which is possibly what they did.
Yeah.
They might have said, wouldn't it be cool if he was Martian Manhunter? And so that's what they did, rather than from the beginning being like, he's going to be Martian Manhunter. Let's write him.
Oh, I would bet money that
that's how it went.
Yeah, that he was not originally Martian Manhunter from the
Man
first take. Yeah.
Right. Who knows?
Who knows?
But anyway, I bought a T-shirt from Zack Snyder. Did like a fundraiser kind of thing for, I believe it was for like suicide awareness, type of thing in honor of his daughter. And this was before they announced that his version of the movie was coming out, but he sold T-shirts that said Zack Snyder's Justice League. And it has something on the back. I forget what it says. But on the sleeves are the logos of the superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
So on
Green Lantern?
Well, yeah. So we've got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and then I think Martian Manhunter on one sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other one, it's the Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman, whoever I didn't say, and Green Lantern. So that the symbol is on that shirt. So it makes me think that it's either teased in the movie or he might actually be in the movie. I don't know. We'll see. Again, though, I hope if he is in the movie, I hope they do him justice and it's not just like a weird cameo.
You
thing.
hope they do him
justice.
After watching this this movie the second time, I am sad that there is not a sequel, which I was actually happy about that there
Originally?
wasn't one the first time I watched it. But I will admit that the first time I watched it, I did acknowledge that the movie wrapped up well if there wasn't going to be a sequel.
Yeah, that's true.
And it still does. But this time I was like, one, I really want to see Green Lantern. And I don't know, it just would have been kind of fun to see another one.
Yeah. I originally, again, this was before the movie kind of got taken away from him, if you will. But the very first, this was first Batman vs. Superman, I believe. The very first picture of Jason Momoa as Aquaman that was released had him standing there with like his trident, and the words over the picture said "Unite the Seven."
Seven, right?
And there's only 6 of them in this movie, so I always thought that meant 7 superheroes. However, in Aquaman the movie, he has to unite, if you will, like the 7 seas or something like that. Like the kingdoms of underwater, whatever. So it made me think, oh, maybe that's what Unite the 7 meant. It didn't necessarily mean Unite the 7 superheroes. But I don't know. I don't know.
I would lean more towards the superheroes. That sounds like a tease.
Yeah.
For the creation of the Justice League.
Right.
I mean, who cares if you unite the 7 kingdoms?
Right. So
that's your lead in to the Aquaman movie? Oh, I got to go see that. Unite the 7 kingdoms. No.
But if you got Martian Manhunter in there too, then you got 8.
Right. So maybe it wasn't Green Lantern. Maybe it was originally Martian Manhunter.
Maybe it was, yeah.
But I would lean more towards Green Lantern.
The other thing we didn't get to see in this version of Justice League versus the Zack Snyder version that we'll get to see next year is Darkseid is not in this movie.
I know.
Whereas he will be in the other one.
Is he?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that was sequel stuff.
Well, this is speculation. I mean, he has posted a video where you see Darkseid, but I noticed watching the movie tonight that it is from the scene where Wonder Woman is talking about like the history of Steppenwolf.
Okay. Yeah, if he's in it, it can't be much.
Right. I'm wondering if it'll just be. I'm wondering if that history of Steppenwolf that she gives in the movie, if it'll be like history of Darkseid in the original movie. Because that's really what it was. It was in the movie. It's a shot of Steppenwolf, and you see all the ships behind him and everything. And in the video that he released, that Zack Snyder released weeks ago, it's that same shot, but it's Darkseid standing there instead of Steppenwolf. So I am curious if how much Darkseid really will be in the movie.
Yeah.
Now, Steppenwolf, I personally don't think he's a very good villain.
I felt that way through the first half of the movie.
Yeah. And
I agree for the most part, but I felt like he kind of gained a little bit of strength as the movie got deeper. Mm-hmm. There's that moment there where he's like interrogating the scientists and they won't answer him, so he tosses him aside. And I know we got to keep it family friendly, but like, why are you sparing all those scientists that didn't answer? Like, they'd be dead.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I like Kieran Hines. I thought he was a good choice to voice Steppenwolf. I just felt like, I think if you think about Darkseid, he does mention Darkseid's name like one time in the movie. But I feel like his whole story in the movie is he came to conquer Earth, and the heroes at the time, the gods and whatnot, bested him.
The old gods.
Yeah, the old gods bested him, and he was upset about it and just kind of wanted revenge, essentially. And I feel like that's a little weak. Whereas I feel like him working on behalf of Darkseid or something, trying to do
Right.
Darkseid's will. I don't know. I feel like that would have been a little stronger. It would have set it up. But again, that would have been setting it up for like a part 2.
Right.
Which I don't feel like that would have been. I don't feel like that would have been terrible. But I think Warner Brothers got nervous about it. About the poor reception of Batman vs Superman, and they thought, well, maybe let's not set this up for a part 2. Let's see how part 1 does.
Right.
And then by doing that, I think they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, they might have. I don't know. We'll never know. Like,
it's true.
But Justice League, if I'm not mistaken, did not fare very well.
It didn't. It did better critically than Batman vs Superman. Batman vs Superman, I think, has like a 27% or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
This movie has a 40. So, I mean, it's not that much better, but it's better than Batman vs Superman.
I can't believe Batman v Superman has a 27.
Yeah, it's really low. It's around there.
That's too low.
People really hate that movie, especially the critics.
I think one of the things about that, though, is the expectation.
That could be.
You have literally the 2 biggest superheroes of all time,
right,
in a movie together for the first time. The expectation was extremely high.
28% is actually what it is.
And people didn't really like Man of Steel either. I mean, that one's higher than all 3 of them.
Yeah, and
it's that in the 50s, maybe.
But I was gonna say it's only in the 50s, so it's still not technically
right.
Loved.
You're right, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. Like, and what's strange is everyone. I don't see really anyone criticize Ben Affleck's Batman.
I don't either, really. I think a lot of people do like Ben Affleck. I think.
I see lots. I primarily see people pick him as
their favorite.
Like, yeah,
I agree. I'm sure there are people out here that don't like him, but
right.
But I don't see much of it on the internet, to be honest.
It's common. It's very common to see people favor Ben Affleck's Batman.
Yeah,
but they hate the movies.
Right, that's true.
Make any sense.
It is weird. And I know some people have an issue with the way Batman is portrayed in Batman vs Superman.
Like his thoughts and decision making and stuff like that.
Yeah, and his seemingly disregard for human life. It's kind of the biggest thing. I mean, he pretty much murders people in the movie. But if you honestly look at,
but we talked about that with Batman Returns.
Exactly.
He hands a guy a wad of dynamite and then pushes him down in the sewer.
Yeah. And I think, even though I'd have to rewatch the movies to know for sure, but like, even though he says in the Dark Knight trilogy that he doesn't kill anybody, like, I'm pretty sure he kills some people in that movie too. I mean, he lets Ra's al Ghul die in the first one. He just doesn't save him. I mean, that's pretty much killing somebody.
Yeah.
So I really do think it's just people had an issue with the movie and they just were finding things to kind of point out that were wrong about it. But I personally, I understood what they were doing with Batman in that movie, and I love Ben Affleck's portrayal as Batman. Is he my favorite Batman? He's up there. Michael Keaton might still be kind of my favorite just because of nostalgia.
And that's and my mom said that. She was like, "What about Michael Keaton?" And I was like, Michael Keaton. I was like, Ben Affleck is the best true concept, I think, of what Bruce Wayne is supposed to be.
For sure. I agree with you.
Michael Keaton is almost like his own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michael Keaton's amazing. Agreed. He's Michael Keaton,
Michael
Bruce
Keaton.
Wayne, and Batman. Yeah.
But you're right though. Michael Keaton is not like a comic accurate, if you will.
He's like Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it works really well.
Exactly.
Perfect. But Ben Affleck is like straight out of the comic book. Bruce Wayne and Batman. I agree.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I know. I really wish we could have gotten the Ben Affleck standalone Batman movie.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed that fell apart.
He was going to direct it too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was originally, yeah.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that.
And now I'll reserve judgment until I see the movie. But now we've got the Robert Pattinson Batman that's coming out, and
I think he looks good as in the suit.
I think he'll be good. I think Robert Pattinson is actually a pretty good actor.
Mm-hmm.
My issue, I don't. Well, again, I don't. Like I said, I'm only seeing set photos and stuff, so you can't really judge it until you see the movie, until you see it on film,
right?
The way it's meant to be seen and stuff. But like, the costume doesn't do it for me yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll say. I don't totally love the cowl. Or
I've only seen the footage that was released for the teaser, so I haven't seen any of the other stuff.
Right. Yeah. All I've seen just set photos of like a stuntman on his motorcycle and stuff like that. And
that's something else I wanted to point out was the like spider vehicle.
The Nightcrawler. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that.
Not a fan of that one.
Because it just made me realize, I'm like, do they have to just have this crazy wonky new vehicle like every movie? It's almost like shark repellent at this point.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I think originally, like in the 90s, I feel like they always came up with a new vehicle because that way they could sell a new toy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the same reason for this movie. Maybe I don't recall seeing a Nightcrawler toy, but maybe they just wanted to have another vehicle so that they could sell another toy. But you're right. I like the Nightcrawler really didn't even serve much of a purpose. And it was super, I mean, for what it was, for like crawling around in the tunnels underneath Gotham Harbor, it seemed very bulky for that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Batman would have had a better design.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, like, I just feel like, you've got the Batmobile, you got the Batwing.
Mm-hmm. And then in this movie, you've got the troop carrier, that like much larger version of the Batwing, essentially, that he's flying around in this movie.
Right. Which was fine.
That was fine. Yeah.
But yeah, like a spider.
Right.
Just
yeah.
It's too much. So, anyway.
Well, one more thing I want to talk about was Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman came in. So he wasn't originally the composer for this movie. It was supposed to be...
I did not know that.
Yeah, originally...
And I forgot he did the music.
Yep. Well, and I think that's part of what I want to say is that I love Danny Elfman. I think he does amazing work. And aside from the music that he does when it's the Flash, when you kind of go into the Speed Force slow motion, it's what you hear when he's running towards Superman and Superman turns his head and stuff. Aside from that music, I don't really think any of the music in the movie really stands out. It really,
and that's, of course, I don't like old school Danny Elfman could write stuff that you would have memorized in your head. Beetlejuice, Batman.
Even in my opinion, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man music.
Oh, totally, yeah.
So,
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, yeah, that's true.
But for me, what stood out was just hearing the old school Danny Elfman of the Batman thing.
Right, yeah, throwing that in there.
Yeah, like when I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, of course, because Danny Elfman's doing the music.
Yeah,
but there was also the John Williams Superman bit,
which originally I thought was really cool and I really liked it, but I think I've changed my opinion on that because I think since we never heard that music in Man of Steel and we never heard that music in Batman vs Superman, to me it feels a little out of place in this movie. I would have rather heard, they play it during the end credits in Man of Steel, but the big Hans Zimmer Superman theme. Basically.
Hans Zimmer's Superman score was fantastic.
Yeah, it really was
so good. And yeah, and it's okay to hear Danny Elfman's Batman in this because it's Danny Elfman.
Sure.
And it's just a quick couple notes.
Yeah. as you know, and I understand why he did the Superman thing, because it's Superman, and Superman, you know, I mean, it just works for Superman. And it's the same thing with Batman. When you hear the Batman theme in this movie, even though we didn't hear it in Batman vs Superman, it still works because it's Batman's theme. You know, it's
Right. Well, sort of like to me, you know, there are two different universes. You know,
Right.
you've
No, I
got
agree. Yeah.
Tim Burton's Batman, which is the Batman theme,
Right.
and of course, this isn't that. But just to hear it and know that Danny Elfman actually did that,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we can give that a pass. But I
Right.
see what you're talking about the John Williams throwing
Superman.
that in, and
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's, you know, it's a little quick nod to just, you know.
Right. Yeah. So the original composer was, you know, he went by Junkie XL. He co-did the music for Batman vs Superman with Hans Zimmer.
Right.
I've seen him credited now by his real name, which is like Tom Holkenberg or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is. And so I'm wondering if for Zack Snyder's Justice League, if we'll have Junkie XL do the whole score, and how that will be, and hopefully it'll be pretty good. I think when Zack Snyder stepped down and Joss Whedon kind of took over as director, he fired Junkie XL and brought in Danny Elfman. So I imagine we'll get our original score, which could be cool. I don't know.
Did Danny Elfman do any of the Marvel themes?
He was brought on for Age of Ultron. So
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
It was him and Brian Tyler, I think, for Age of Ultron. So they kind of co-did it.
Yeah.
And I want to say
that's another movie that I really liked, Age of Ultron, and the fans did not.
Yeah.
Did you like Age of Ultron?
I did like it when I first saw it. I didn't like it as much as the first Avengers.
Right. See, I actually liked it better than the first Avengers.
Yeah, I didn't. And then I think the more I watch it, it's still a fun movie. All the Marvel, I mean, there's probably only one Marvel movie that I don't like.
Have we discussed it?
We haven't yet.
Okay.
And I'm curious because
I think I know what it is.
You probably do. And I haven't seen it since I saw it in the theater. So when we talk about it, it'll be the first time I'll have rewatched it since then. So I'm curious to see if my opinion changes. But anyway, so other than that one movie, I like all the Marvel movies, but I think Age of Ultron is probably lower on the list than a lot of other movies.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't know why, but like I could not really I was not super hyped about Avengers. I didn't grow up on the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Iron Man, and I loved, you know, Thor, and the Captain America movie. I thought was good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, and there was no Marvel Universe Hulk movie.
Well, there was. It just was.
But you talking about
the Edward Norton one? Yeah.
But is that included?
It is. It's a weird movie because it's I don't know if it's owned by Universal Studios, but it is technically part of the Marvel Universe. I mean, it's Edward Norton was going to play Hulk in the Avengers, and then him and Marvel had a kind of a falling out. Robert Downey Jr. shows up at the end to talk to.
That's right.
To General Ross.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
And General Ross, played by William Hurt, shows up in Civil War and stuff. So
yeah,
it is a Marvel movie. It's just most people forget about it because it was Edward Norton, not Mark Ruffalo. So they kind of.
Do you like that movie? Did we do a podcast on that?
We haven't done a podcast on that one yet.
All right. Well, then don't answer that question.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, like, you know, I was interested in it, but I know that you were like, and lots of people, most people, fans of superhero movies were just like this. I can't wait for this. This is what we've been waiting for.
Right.
I just couldn't find that. And I remember the trailers for Age of Ultron and, you know, hearing him do the Pinocchio song of There Are No Strings. Like, I was stoked about that. And just seeing Ultron which I never grew up with him, but I think I had like a trading card of him.
Right.
So I knew who he was, but I don't know. I had a lot of fun watching that. That's kind of more of the Avengers experience you got. I think I got in Age of Ultron
the second time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think I do like Ultron. I didn't know anything about I mean, I think I knew kind of who he was, but I didn't know much about Ultron going into that movie.
I knew he had metal skin. That's it.
But I thought that James Spader was a really, great choice to play Ultron, and I thought he did a great job with that.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, we're not talking about Avengers here. We're talking about Justice League. But I think we've pretty much hit a lot of points. I'm trying to think if there's any scenes that I wanted to talk about specifically.
I'll go ahead and say, Gal Gadot, however you want to say it. If she said Gal Gadot, like we said, she doesn't know how to say her own last name.
Right.
But I remembered her scenes trying to, because I remember people talking about how she was flat in Batman v Superman, and I remembered them trying to, or it's seeming like they were trying to give her more color and character, and that it wasn't that she didn't perform. It was just like they tried, but it wasn't enough content.
Right.
But rewatching it, I felt like she definitely at least had a lot of good experience in getting to that degree, and she performed. So
yeah,
she didn't necessarily have scenes that were where her acting was amazing or anything, but I think she kind of showed that she might be able to do that in the future.
Right.
What she did in this, I felt like definitely delivered.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's solid. I think, I didn't have a problem with her in Batman vs Superman like some people did, but I think she does a good job in this movie. I think she's a great Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with her in Batman v Superman either, but I felt like there just wasn't a lot of stuff there for her.
Right.
She was more visual than anything in Batman v Superman, I think.
Yeah, well, that's a common criticism of Zack Snyder too, is that he's style over substance. The guy knows how to show a good movie, but not necessarily tell a good story, I guess, is what a lot of people have a problem with. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I do think he is a strong visual storyteller. But
yeah, like I said, Man of Steel is definitely in my upper top superhero movies of all time, which a lot of people will disagree with me on that. Watchmen, obviously, we haven't done a podcast on it, but
it's on the list.
I'll go ahead and say it. Watchmen was fantastic. But Watchmen is also pretty much the graphic novel shot for shot.
Visually, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And 300 was great. I never read the graphic novel on that, but
I didn't either. And you just reminded me that like most of Zack Snyder's movies have been based on comic books,
which is how I think he got the job for Man of Steel.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
His first movie was Dawn of the Dead, which I remember really liking that movie. Haven't seen it in a while.
I remember, and I remember everyone liked that, and I remember I wasn't a big
fan.
Of it. Yeah.
And then the next movie he did, I believe, was 300. And then the next movie might have been Watchmen. I could be wrong about that. There might be something in between.
It was either Watchmen or the Rise of
Legends of the Guardians.
Legends of the Guardians.
Yeah.
I always get that mixed up with Rise of the Guardians.
Right. With Santa Claus and stuff.
Right. The Russian Santa Claus with tattoos all over his arms.
Right.
But I never. What was it called? The Legends of the
Legends.
Guardians. And there's something
Uh,
about like
well, now I can't.
the it's some weird the
Guardians
ghoul
of Guardians of Gahul or something like
Gahul,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
something.
What is it
I
called?
never saw that.
Hold on, I'll get it. Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Gahul. I never saw it either. I remember thinking it looked really good. Again,
Visually,
visually.
when it came out, and I think it still holds up because I think I saw the beginning of it not too long ago. But yeah, when it first came out, visually it was like incredibly
Stunning.
stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, if and I remember the reviews were not necessarily bad, but they weren't like great either. And I don't know. That kind of says
It seems to be kind of the common theme with the Zack Snyder's movies. I think 300, Dawn of the Dead and 300, I think both have pretty good. Actually, I don't know about Dawn of the Dead, but 300 I remember getting pretty good reviews.
yeah, 300 was very well liked
Um,
by the masses.
yeah,
But yeah, especially at the time that the
Watchmen did
Legends
come
of the
out first,
Guardians
by the
came
way.
out.
Uh huh.
Huh? Oh,
Watchmen did
before.
come out before Legend of the Guardians. Yeah.
But yeah, if you've got a movie, especially the time that came out and just how visually well it was done, if the reviews are lower, that obviously says something about the story.
Right. Well,
Um,
usually, but again, Batman vs Superman, I think is a really good story, and that has terrible reviews. So
yeah.
it's all just matter of opinion, I guess. Um, but yeah, so Dawn of the Dead, 300, then Watchmen, then Legend of the Guardians, then Sucker Punch. Did you ever see Sucker Punch?
No, I did not. I was not very interested in that.
I didn't think it was very. I didn't love it. Um,
Everyone was so hyped about that movie, and I remember just thinking, this just looks like he wants to exploit a bunch of teenage girls. That's how I felt. And it just looks stupid, like the samurai, like
yeah.
robots. I don't know.
It was. I mean, to me, when I saw it in the theater, it felt like watching somebody play a video game where they were just having to do boss fight after boss fight, essentially.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
It kind of came out around the time of like Grindhouse 2, didn't it? Maybe it was after,
about 4 years after. Yeah,
but I think it was kind of inspired by that
could have been. Yeah,
just that obnoxious,
kind of over the
extreme,
top.
like, yeah, exactly. That's how I felt.
So when it was announced that he was going to be directing the next Superman movie, I wasn't sure how I felt about it originally, because
Yeah, I don't remember, but I probably agree.
Sucker Punch was the last movie he did, and I didn't care for it too much. And then Watchmen, I really liked, but I just imagined, both of those movies have like a lot of that kind of, it's like regular motion into slow motion type stuff, and I just didn't see that working that well for a Superman movie. And to his credit, I don't think
He
Man of
does do
Steel.
that in Man of Steel, doesn't it? At least a little bit. It's not like as much as the others,
I
but
was going to say he might have done it like once or twice, but he actually didn't do it very much at all.
right.
And so I was about to say I have to give him credit because I don't think he did it. I think he might have done it in Batman vs Superman more than he did it in Man of Steel, but I don't know. But anyway, I Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman both, again, I loved. So I personally would say that I'm a Zack Snyder fan.
I'd say more often than not, I definitely am.
Right.
And I remember too, for me, the selling point for Man of Steel was the first trailer.
Yeah.
It was either the first trailer, it was one of them. I don't remember if it was exactly the first one, but one of those trailers was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, it was the trailer where the last shot is like him doing the sonic boom.
Yeah.
And you hear Hans Zimmer's score, and it was so different and than anything that we had seen.
Yep.
We should maybe do a commentary on Man of Steel at some point, because that was our first episode.
First episode, yeah. I'd be down for that. I also thought about, and I don't know how much our commentaries are really enjoyed or not, but I thought about we should do one for Justice League, just so I can sit there and point out this is a reshoot. This is a reshoot. I can tell this is a reshoot. Again, that might be really annoying and tedious, but yeah, there's a few movies that I wouldn't mind doing a commentary.
Yeah, did we do a commentary for Ghostbusters? I think we did.
I don't think so, actually. I think we've only done a comment. I could be wrong. It's been,
we did.
I haven't looked at
Jurassic Park was our first one,
and Batman.
And I was gonna say I thought we did Batman, and I thought we did Ghostbusters, but if we didn't, that would be a really good one.
That would be a good one. I think we maybe were talking about doing it, and we just never did.
And also, we really need to get on Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah, I got them on the list.
Yeah.
We'll eventually get around to those. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of Justice League?
So I'm done with Justice League.
Okay, moving on. Well, let's talk about a rating system, or not a rating system, but a rating. What would you rate the movie?
I'm going to give it 3.5 stars out of 5.
I'm leaning towards 3, actually. I'm thinking I'm going to give it 3.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a minute. I like Justice League better than you. That's not right.
You might have. Again, like I said, I liked it originally when it first came out. I really enjoyed it. The more I watch it, the more I see the changes that were made.
Yeah.
And I just don't.
Flaws.
Yeah, I see the flaw. The flaws stand out a little bit more to me when the more I watch it, and I can't quite dig it as much as I used to.
They're definitely there, but I think the reason I gave it 3.5 is because I actually was able to enjoy the movie, more
this time around.
Yeah. So 3.5 to me is I liked it.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
3 for me would be I liked it. But it's bordering on not a very good movie. You know what I mean? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, if we're going on a 5-star rating,
that sounds right.
Yeah, if a 5-star rating, 2.5 stars would be 50%, which is failing technically. But if you think about it as being like,
right,
I would give 2.5 stars. That'd be a C.
Right.
So 3 stars is maybe like a B minus, C plus, something like that.
Okay, so I'm a little different than that. Like, to me, 2.5 is like, it's not that great.
Right.
3 is, it's not that great, but it's okay enough to watch.
Right.
And 3.5 is, I enjoyed it.
I think so I'd still stick with 3 then, because that's how I kind of feel about it. It's not that great, but I can watch it. You know what I mean?
How many times have you seen it?
I don't know. I saw it in the theater 3 times, I think. And then I've probably watched it. This is probably the second time I've watched it since it came out on home video.
Yeah. I've said this before in the podcast, but I want to say it again. I saw Jurassic Park in the theater 7 times. How many times did you see Dark Knight in the theater?
I think
13?
I saw it. No, I didn't get double digits, I don't think. In its original run, I think I saw it 8 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still outdoes my Jurassic Park. Which, by the way, hold on one second. I'm sure I've shown you this before. Look at this.
Oh, that isn't. Yeah, you did show me that. That is nice.
Yes. It has scales.
It's very cool.
For the binding. Anyway. All right. Well, that does it.
Well, we'd love to know what you think about Justice League. You can always drop a comment on our website, www.cinemaheroes.com. You can comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/SM and SM podcast. Or you can tweet at us on Twitter, @CinemaHeroes. I think that about does it for this episode. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm John Pelzel.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing.